So for drink wise, is there a place that you are absolutely obsessed with? Maybe that has like a slushy, or maybe that has like something like that.
Yeah, there's the we call them slush puppies.
Slush puppies.
Yeah, they're called slush puppies.
Oh my
Yeah,
god, I love it. I love it. That's it. That is the intro to the entire episode.
You're listening to the Media Man Dan podcast. Let's rock!
Hell yeah, dude. The sound of rock and roll. What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Media Man Dan podcast. Today I have one of the greatest people all the way over in Norwich, UK, and that is my friend Browno. Now, this is a very interesting case because Browno has already been on my podcast technically 3 times at this point, but for me, I am just great with losing things, especially when it comes to footage, so I have lost our first actual interview and our second chat as well that was technically never recorded in the first place. But I do know that Browno loves Power Rangers, which is why I'm rocking the Green Ranger outfit today. I also know that Browno has a new single that's coming that's an exclusive thing that you guys can check out on Patreon. And for everything else that you want to know about Browno, that's happening right now. What's up, Browno? Welcome back to the podcast. How you doing today?
great. Thank you very much for having me back on for the fourth time.
Yes,
Fourth
sir.
time lucky.
Fourth time. Fourth time is a charm. But that's good to hear, man. I'm glad that you're good. I was just talking with you a little bit before, talking about how things are going with the studio, singles, an album that might be
Yes.
coming in the future. All of that, once again, Patreon exclusive. You guys can go and check it out. The bonus chats are literally only $5 a month. You can watch all of the bonus chats. You don't have to pay $5 each, just $5. That's all I ask. Yes, I took away the freedom because I was like, I need money. Anyway, dude, let's see. So the most important thing I need to know is how is the weather over there? We had some crazy rain yesterday. Like it felt like we were in Norwich. Like it was like, whoa, what's going on? Did the UK invade America? What is happening here?
I know. Well, it has actually. I can actually. It's dry at the minute, but I mean, it has been raining.
Okay.
So typical British weather, really. You know, always raining.
Yep.
But yeah, it's not too cold though. That's quite warm still. So I'd rather have that than be cold.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, we're supposed to get hotter weather this weekend. I would say what the temperature is, but I'd have to translate it to Celsius because everywhere else is Celsius.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's gonna be 80 degrees, which is very, very warm. What we usually expect during this time of the month. So we're happy to have that. Unfortunately, I'm gonna be the one setting all of my stuff up in the car, so I have to put a sun visor in the car to cover me and my phone. Otherwise, my phone overheats and then it stops recording. I learned that sometime last year or 2 years ago when I was doing reactions in my car.
Oh, man.
But now that I know that information, I'm like, okay, pre-plan it, get the sun visor, air conditioning on high, anything to
Yeah.
waste my gas more, I guess.
Yeah.
But let's see. So what is the new plan for this summer? I know that we have a new single that's on the way, but what else is going on in Browno's world?
Yeah, so I've got my first live show that I'll be doing as Browno, and that will be my full electric set, not my acoustic set. So that's really exciting. That is in July. I can't remember the date, which is terrible. I think that's the 27th, I believe. That's the weekend. in July, last weekend in July. So yeah, I believe that's the 27th. You'll have to check, but yes, yeah. Apart from that, just in the studio and just generally just doing photo shoots and just doing my press kits and bits and pieces like that, really, and just sort of carrying on recording the album, and hopefully, at some point we're looking at getting a management team in to hopefully help me get on some bigger gigs. So yeah, that's all sort of in the background and just plodding along nicely, and yeah, just doing stuff like this with you, and it's great. It's great fun.
Very good, very good. And since we are talking right now, we all need to give a shout out to the amazing podcast Alternative Twist. That was the one that Browno was on first and was recommended to me to check out. So I really appreciate them. You guys should go and check them out. I will make sure their links are in the description right down below. Give all of the love to both of the hosts. They are amazing people trying to promote people much like myself. Not me, but the artists that I promote. I always try to make sure that I find the best people that are going to also be promoted by the best podcasts. So if I can, I'm just going to reach out and be like, hey, can I have them too? I need that one. Browno here was a recommendation beyond all belief, and I am so happy to have conversations with this gentleman who has now become one of my friends. He's seen me at my best times. He's heard my worst times. And we've only talked for a month. I am amazed. I'm like, when are you moving? Come on over.
I know. I feel like we're already in a marriage. We've gone through so much.
Yes, there was a lot of ups and downs in the period of time from our first chat to this chat. But all good things, all good things. The roller coaster has given up on the drops. We're kind of on that uphill climb again. I'm hoping that it just continues staying up that way. But,
yes, definitely.
My summer's going to be full of fun. I got a lot of relaxing between the work that I do now, and now I don't even know what I'm going to be working on every week. So it's going to be a random schedule thrown at me, and I have to adapt like I used to. But here's the thing. People would usually say, oh, that's insane. How would you ever want that? You had a steady schedule. I would be like, well, that's coming from someone who didn't drop 300 videos in 3 years. So... I think I know what I'm doing. I feel like, yeah, when I was in hospitality, I was dropping way more content than I was when I was at a steady job. So I'm happy.
Yeah.
And for the end of July, you were talking about the date that's coming with new stuff. I was going to say that we have a concert. We're going to go and see Hailstorm with I Prevail. And The opening act is Fit for a King and Hollywood Undead. Like, you couldn't get a weirder lineup, but I love all of these artists, so I'm super excited to see them live.
I feel really bad because the only band I've heard of is Hailstorm.
That's not a bad thing because Hailstorm is the best of those bands. No offense to anyone that loves metalcore and new metal and all of the other things, but you know that it's a fact. Lizzie Hale is the greatest female vocalist in the modern age. There's no question.
Okay.
Yes. But, dude, I'm happy that you know who Hailstorm is. That's an important thing because, the other bands aren't really making an impact these days. However, Fit for a King did have a fantastic album just a couple years ago. And I Prevail, I guess they're still around, but, like, their biggest hit that got them on the map was a cover of Taylor Swift. They did Blank Space for the Punk Goes Pop or Pop Goes Punk. It was great. I'm not going to be bashing it or anything, but then like the album before that or right around that time was like their best work, and then from there they just went in a whole different direction that went more radio friendly or too heavy. It was just like all over. So either way, I'm pumped to see how they are energy wise live, and I know that they definitely do have the talent. Also, I'm excited to see two vocalists because I was informed that they have two when I thought they only had one. So now I'm catching up on things.
Awesome.
Yes, sir. Other than that, let's see. My favorite thing to ask all of my guests is, what is a movie that either you've seen this year or I guess you could say last year that just like blew you away? You were like, oh my gosh, I love this movie. Everyone needs to go and see this.
So I really find it hard to keep up to date with films. and because I just don't have the time. Like I say, I'm always doing music, but my friend of mine has asked me to watch the John Wick movies, and I have watched every one now, and the new one was very good as well. And I've heard that they are looking at doing another movie.
Yep.
So that was probably one of the best movies I've seen for a long while. In terms of franchise, franchise, all four of them are great.
They truly are.
It's very rare. Very rare you get all of the ones in the franchise that are all strong movies. And I have to admit, I mean, I know films are a personal taste anyway, but yeah, I was very impressed with all four. Yeah, so but I'm a bit of I love horror, so for me, I'm a massive The Conjuring universe. I love them. So the new one of them as well was really good. I don't know if you're a horror fan yourself, Dan, but I love.
I am dabbling in the genre finally. It took me a long time, but there's subgenres of it that we're constantly trying to discover if we can handle it. Allison handles these things so much better, and that's my fiance's name. She loves so much more violence and disturbing stuff than I do. And I'm pretty sure I'm blaming it all on the Lifetime channel. That's just the truth. The Lifetime channel changes women these days. They all think that they want to see some serial killer do some serial killer shit. And here I am just trying to watch Disney stuff and, be cutesy pootsy. And she's just like, oh, look at this, a new serial killer documentary. Or, oh, great, a new real life story of how someone murdered some people. I'm like, why? Why do we have to look at this? Could just be happy. Where's the happiness? But no, that would make sense that she is a little bit easier to handle the subgenres. Currently, we finished Bates Motel, which is based on the Psycho movies, and I should just say the first Psycho movie from the incredible Alfred Hitchcock. But we loved it. It's such a great drama. I did not expect it to be as much of a drama as it was. I was expecting it to be like horror thriller all the time, and they did so well with every character and how it developed, and every episode was just like a cliffhanger, and then the next episode would like just clear it up instantly, and you're like, well, where do we go from here? They would always have new conflict, so I was very impressed. But Conjuring universe wise, I think I've told every single person that I can this. The second movie, I think it was The Conjuring Part 2, has the little rocking horse trailer, right? Where it's just like wong, wong, wong. I had to take my earbuds out and like toss my phone or laptop across the room. I was horrified just by the music in the trailer, dude. I could not handle that. So I'm hoping after I get through all of these other older movies, which we are technically done with the slashers, so we're gonna jump into some like 80s gore. We're doing like the Evil Dead series next, and I have the TV show as well, Ash versus Evil Dead. So looking forward to it, but I'm hoping that that'll be like a breakthrough, and then I could be like, okay, psychological horror isn't as bad. Kind of like when you listen to rock versus metalcore for your first time. Oh, this is too screamy for me. But then later on, you're like, oh, deathcore's too screamy for me. And then later on, you're like, well, I guess it's not as bad as grindcore. So it's just always the extremes that you can handle based on how much you take in. But overall, my answer, yes. Now I enjoy horror. Did I wave before? No, I did not. But I just saw one of the classic horror movies in theaters, which is a horror movie in my opinion, and that is Alien, and actually going to be reviewing that on Movie Man, Dan. Very fun. Great movie.
Good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Just going back on what you said. What was the TV show called again? Sorry?
Bates Motel.
And what platform was that on?
It was, I think, on... What did they have it? Because they had a little intro. They would show you the little TV symbol. Oh, I think it was A&E.
Oh, okay.
And it was with Freddie Highmore, a British actor, and he's known for being Good Doctor. You know that show?
Right.
Yeah, and then it had a cast of just amazing actors that I probably have never seen in anything, but I was so amazed. It did have the girl from Ready Player One, the one that's the love interest of the main guy.
Right.
But like most of the other people are like no one's or someone that hasn't been in a movie in a long time. Like the kid from The Pacifier is in this show. Like you know the
Right.
one that dresses up and they think that he's a Nazi, but it turns out that he's just part of the musical Sound of Music. Sorry for spoiling The Pacifier for anyone that is too excited about the PG movies, but it's a good movie, honestly. But yeah, I could say, dude, if you have some time and you enjoy the first Psycho movie, and you just wanted to have a bit more of a backstory on Norman and his lifestyle and why he went psycho, it's a pretty great reinterpretation of it. However, they do
Yeah.
have a twist when it comes to the actual story of Psycho that comes later on in the series, and you're just like, oh, I did not
Yeah.
see that coming. I did not see who was going to play that coming. I didn't see any of that coming. Okay, I bet Hitchcock, if he was here, he would enjoy this as well. So, yeah.
Oh wow. I'm gonna go check it out, I think.
Awesome. And I'm going to check out, probably not The Conjuring yet, but I probably will be checking out The Crow. I think that's a horror superhero movie I've been hearing a lot about. And I think it
Yeah,
has a
that's
special edition.
Brandon Lee, isn't it? I think
Yeah.
Bruce Lee's son, yeah.
And that was
Yeah.
tragedy of all tragedies
Yeah.
on the set. So
Yes.
I learned a lot of dark history from my friend David Neer. You know what? You should subscribe to David Neer. That now that you like horror, I should show you the Morgue Files. He runs this audio show. Technically, I guess you could say audio series, but he does a little bit of visual work as well. He is an artist, but he does these horrific, dark, twisted, like spooky pasta or whatever, creepy pasta kind of stories, and he just like exaggerates every little detail. And his voice work as a voice actor, he's just so damn good at making you believe that you're like in a space with a character, or that like there's multiple people talking even though he's doing most of the voices. Like it's incredible, and I'll definitely get you into him. I'm promoting too many people, that's what's happening. Anyway, let's talk about your music. So, first of all, we had a One Step Closer that we were promoting last time. I had not even heard the song at that point because obviously
No.
I didn't react to it yet. So, that first time that we ever talked, you were promoting that song. Now that you have released it, how has that reception been for the crowd that wanted to hear it?
I generally think that had a good reception. I mean, that's completely different from the first track.
Mhm.
Because I think with the first track, In Search for New Mankind, we played very sort of safe, if you will, as a first release. And then obviously One Step Closer was a bit more rocky. You know, you get that bit more of a rock and roll feel. And yeah, they both, to be honest with you, I can't thank every radio station enough who have played it and supported it, and everybody who's watched the music videos on YouTube. You know, that's incredible numbers that I've hit, you know, and I'll forever be grateful for that, you know. And that's just incredible that, you know, people take the time out and they invest their time into watching something that I've done and worked really hard on, and you know, they appreciate it by giving it a like, or you know, and that just means a lot, you know. Or even if they comment on it, you know, all the comments have been positive comments, you know. I've had a few negative comments, but in a sense of, I didn't really like it to begin with, but then it grew on me. So for me, that's not really a negative comment. That's just, you know, that's just a personal taste issue, rather than saying it's a bad song. That's completely different, saying it's a bad song to saying, oh, it was a grower.
Yeah,
You know?
it is a grower, and that's the thing is 623 views you have already on YouTube. Now, you've said it before, like that's pretty good. Now, a lot of people think, oh, it's 623. That's less than 1,000. Do you know how hard it is for me to get 15 views from you guys? Like, I can't even dream of that number. That 15, just 15. So 623 views for the second single of a brand new artist. That's pretty amazing. And
Yeah,
you deserve those views. I'm glad that you have some honest reception in your comments, other than just, saying, "Oh my God, greatest song I've ever heard in my life. There's nothing better than this." Like
oh,
that's not true. That's
I
not how
like
we
your
want to
voice
have it.
there. I like what you done there. You sounded really British.
British as hell, yeah. But yeah, it's something where it's just like you don't want to have that type of ego built from lies. Basically, you want to make sure that people
Yeah,
are honest. If they truly like felt something from the music, that's what
yeah,
matters to
yeah,
you. And if they didn't like the beginning of it, and then at the end they're like warming up to it, and then they're like, oh, you know what? It's actually not bad at all. For me, as I've heard it many times now, I'm thinking of another song that plays really well in my head, and that's called I think it's What's It Gonna Be, Santa? Or something. No. Jolly Old St. Nicholas. Okay, so Chicago is a band, obviously from the place near me, and it's based on the city's name, but they are also a rock and roll band and very well known as the band with horns. However, one year, much later down their career, they had a different vocalist, so they decided to do this like ska punk kind of vocal thing. And so their style changed as well with that, and so they did a Christmas album. And there's a song called Jolly Old St. Nicholas, which I'll play for this interview that comes out.
Jolly old St. Nicholas, lean your ear this way. Don't you tell a single soul what I'm going to say. Christmas Eve is coming soon. Now you dear old man, whisper what you'll bring to me. Tell me if you can.
And it's just rockier than the usual classic Christmas song. And so I just feel that kind of tone. Also, the chord progression does fit along with that One Step Closer vibe.
One step closer to being with you. I'd do anything to make it true. Roses are red, violets are blue. I've been waiting, waiting for you. Never look back, never, never look back. I'm dreaming. Never look back on in this life. We only had one chance only to get things done. Never give up and never run. No place to hide like a fading, fading sun.
So
yeah,
yeah, that's like the only thing that I can really connect it to, and that's how I usually perceive music. Is I say, well, it reminds me of this, or I think of this, and then I compare the two, and
yeah,
that's like just my critical way of thinking. When it comes to just music in general, I say, okay, have I played guitar? No. Can I do that on stage? No. So why the hell would I judge that, right? Like that's that's not possible. But
yeah,
my ear is always critical because it's like you've heard thousands of albums. You have to have some kind of perspective, right?
yeah, exactly.
But I
And I
love
think
it, man.
music in general is very much, personal taste anyway. Um, and like I said, I've had such great reception from both tracks. And the thing that I've loved the most is how people have listened to that first track and Search for New Mankind and heard the next track, One Step Closer, and I can't believe how different it is. And this next one is, for me, that's like at the other end of the spectrum. So you got Mankind here, One Step here, and then here is the rock and roll. And that is, and everything else with my album is in between that.
Love it.
And for me as an artist, that's really exciting because I love all music. Like I said, with my history in my journey as an artist, I've done theatre stuff, I've been in bands, I've done acoustic duos, where I've gone around and playing acoustic guitar. I've gone around with my my girlfriend's granddad who plays piano, and we've gone to, you know, old people's homes and played for them, you know, old 40s and 50s songs. You know, there isn't a lot of music I don't like, and all of that into one is what Browno is. You know, that's my interpretation of everything I love in one thing. So that's why when I hear people say that's so different from that to that, I love that, because that's my point. I think, you know, I want to create stuff which isn't the same all the time. You know, of course I've got tracks which are similar, and they're all going to be Browno tracks, you know, but in terms of styles, you know, like the one I've just recently recorded is very much like 50s Beatles type of sound.
Nice.
And we went and we recorded it the way the Beatles recorded their tracks, you know, the way they sung their vocals, in the microphones, the amplifiers we've used, you know. So, you know, when you hear it, you'll think, blimey, this sounds so old school, but it's got that modern twist to it, you know, which is Browno.
Yeah.
You know, and, you know, this next single, you know, you might think, oh, blimey, that bass guitar sounds so AC/DC, because, you know, that's just a solid bass line all the way through, you know, and, you know, that's great, because that's how I've tried to write it. You know, I've tried to write it so people think, oh, blimey, that sounds like AC/DC, you know, or whatever, you know. But it's just my take on my love of music. You know, there's things in, you know, in musicals that I love, but there's stuff I take from that as well. You know, because when you break it down, you know, the guitars and stuff like that are very classical as well. You know, so all of that just links in, and I think people who don't appreciate that as a whole are so narrow-minded, you know, and I think you lose out so much from that. You know, 'cause I've got so many friends who listen to just rock, you know, and that's fine,
Yeah.
you know, but you've got so much spectrum of music that you could listen to. You know, don't just focus on one, you know, appreciate it all, because it's all great, you know. And just shouting out to all the indie bands on the indie scene, you know, when you hear them, they're so supportive of all the artists coming through, you know, and you can hear, you know, how passionate they are, and that's great, you know, and I really do dig that, you know, and how much support they have given me as an artist as well. You know, the amount of support I get from you guys in America, you know, it's probably more than what I get over here, you know. And it's just great. I just love music. I'm starting to waffle. I apologise.
No, you're not. You're not. I already rambled on for like forever, I think, before we even chatted, and I was just like, what am I doing? I'm the host. I gotta let you speak. No, it's okay, man. So my biggest question when it comes to your recording process for the Beatles, now, did you do the Paul McCartney method? Did you actually plug the guitar into the mixer?
Well, with the bass guitar, I did actually directly put the bass into the console.
Hell yeah, you did. That's what's up. Okay,
Yeah.
so everybody that is not involved in music production or anything like that, there's actually the thing called the Paul McCartney method, and I'm pretty sure it was just because Paul was high, because they usually were, and they would just be like, oh man, you know, what does that do if we put that in there, you know, we put that system together, and that's, you know, put a fucking song together. That's how we're going to do it. We're just going to plug it in, and that's it. We did it. We did that. They did that thing. And so what he does, he took his microphone, or not microphone, his guitar cord cable, and he plugged it directly into the mixer. And he said, whoa, that sounds crazy. That's wretched. And then they put it together, and that was one of his things. And it's literally in history books for people that are studying music production. Like, that is just like how crazy it is back in time that you could just experiment with the littlest things like that and have your name on it for life. Like, that's wild to me. You ever see the first mixer, like in history, like how it looked? It took up like a whole wall.
Really?
Like switches and knobs and shit that you had to work with. Like, you're just walking across the whole room just to get one song put together. Maybe
Wow.
not even 10 minutes. Yeah, it's crazy. But
So my producer, he basically was taught from a guy called Bob, and he worked at Abbey Road when the Beatles were there, which is incredible.
that is
And
amazing.
so he obviously, even though at the time he didn't realize how mad that is, he learned a lot of stuff from Bob in terms of the way they used to record in Abbey Road. So for me, that alone is just insane. To be working with somebody like my producer who's worked with somebody who's been at Abbey Road with the Beatles and the Stones and stuff like that. That's insane, isn't it?
It
You
is.
know,
It is because like these days Abbey Road is like a studio that is high honor, right? Everyone's like, "Oh my god, I get to record at Abbey Road." But being with the Beatles, the creators of the most successful album named Abbey Road as far as I know, is probably the most impressive thing that you can put on your resume. Like just be like, "Well, see, we were going to say no, but then we saw that you worked with the Beatles, so you're hired."
yeah, yeah,
That's how it goes. And I have mad respect for British history and American history and anyone that's, legendary musicians. I wish that I had more of a vast knowledge on it. I just know that like they existed. And I feel so bad to say this, but like Jimi Hendrix, I know like 3 songs and barely any of them are ones that like other people like rave over. That's just the usual fan favorite radio play songs. And I'm just like, that's
Yeah.
Jimi Hendrix, and I should, respect that incredible guitarist who is well known as one of the greatest guitarists of all time. And instead I'm just like, I'll get around to it.
yeah.
Yeah, I learned that Little Wing is actually blocked on YouTube. You can't even find it anywhere. Pretty crazy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they had Stevie Ray Vaughan's cover of it, which I reacted to, thinking it was Jimmy. And then everyone in the comments was like, Dan, you're all wrong. You don't know anything about music. It's Stevie Ray Vaughan's version. I'm like, okay. Well, this title says Jimi Hendrix. It shows his freaking face. What am I supposed to say?
Exactly.
Right. But either way, I do respect the legends. I think that if I had a more time, I would definitely go back. I'm planning on going through the main 4 of the metal category: Metallica, Slayer, Megadeth, and Anthrax. But I don't feel like right now I care that much that I'm going to focus on it. I'm just going to be like listening to listen,
Yeah.
which isn't good because you want to analyze music if you're actually criticizing it or taking something from it. So, yeah, I love it, but at the same time, music for me has been a journey of understanding that I'm not the same little I guess you could say excited or curious kid anymore. And now I'm just like, the curiosity's still there. It's just to find more music, but most of it is then immediately judging it to the core. So I'm just like, well, it sounds like this, and another person did this better, and I don't like how this is produced, and the drums don't sound good here, and the guitarist is way off here. Like that's how I do it. So whenever I
Yeah.
praise like you, like anybody that's on the podcast, you know that it's genuine because I'm always in that mindset. It doesn't just go away. I'm not like, oh, let me just turn off my critical brain so I can be nice. The only people that get to have that is like my favorite vocalists or my favorite pop artists or like something that I would expect. Like it's going to be generic. It's going to sound like this, but it's the guy I love, so it's fine.
Yeah.
It's that personal bias. But my thing I was going to talk about, you were talking about like how you wanted to have a throwback sound that sounded like the Beatles. So most recently, there's been a TikTok thing. I don't know if it's a recent trend or if I'm just late to the party because YouTube Shorts always are. But like, there's this group called The Family, spelled differently, and they do this
Okay.
song where it's like, "Twin, where have you been? Nobody knows me like you do." And so I was like, who does that song? Literally last night. This is how crazy this connects. So first of all, The Family is an actual British family. So they're I believe in your territory, and like all of that you can never tell because everyone's mouthing lyrics all the time. So you're like, yeah, they could be American. I don't know, but they have great dance
Yeah.
moves. So I found the song, and it sounds like it came from the '90s, and it came out
Right.
this year.
Wow.
So I was like, what is going on? Because it sounds like R&B straight from like Ashanti or like
Yeah.
one of those classics. And you're just like, that's not possible. It's 2024. How did we do it? How did we make it sound older? And it's that same theory of like Greta Van Fleet. They take that sound of Led Zeppelin. They know how to mix it that way, and so they don't use probably any of the modern production technique, or they don't use any modern plugs or anything like that. So
Yeah.
it's wild to me as somebody who wanted to produce music. I'm like, are we getting a resurgence of the '90s? Are we actually going to have like new music from the '80s coming up in 2024? Are we gonna have like '70s like hippie music? Like, are we gonna have everything that we used to have just revived? Because that's so cool if that happens, and then you'll be on the marker because they'll be like, you wouldn't believe it, man. I was listening to
Yeah.
music the other day, and there was this guy named Browno, and he came up on the screen, and he was like, "Hey, I'm Browno. I have this new song, and it kind of sounds like the Beatles." And I swear to God, it sounded like the Beatles, and I was just like, "Oh, wait, I have to tell everyone." That's how it's gonna be, man. It's gonna be a lifeline to all of the old music as well as the new music that comes out, and just that tribute that should be there for the legends like Jimi Hendrix. And there we go. Somehow I made sense of all of that ramble.
Yeah. Good job, that. Good job.
Yes, very good. So I was talking with my friend about Pokemon the other day. Have you had any card games that you played when you were a kid? Speaking of nostalgia.
To be honest, I was never into Pokemon.
No Pokemon. Yu-Gi-Oh?
No. To be honest, there weren't really any card games I really played. Maybe I played Uno, but that's as hardcore as it gets.
Did you play Uno
You know.
Attack?
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. A true, amazing person that loves Uno has always played Uno Attack at least once in their life. Otherwise, they're just the old school. I play with the cards only. I don't like when the machine shoots at me.
That's
I love
awesome.
that game.
I actually think I still have the original machine.
Hell yeah! I got my bullseye ball over here in the corner of my room. Do you know what bullseye ball is?
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm like, I have to think about it. I'm like, is it an American name or did they change the name overseas? Because that's how it seems to be always. I'm like, oh yeah, how about this? And they're like, oh no, that's not how it's not called that. Like, how about chips? Let's talk about chips and crisps.
Oh, don't get me started on that.
I always love that.
That's mad, isn't it?
It's
That's
crazy.
absolutely mad.
Yes, it is bad. Speaking of mad,
Well,
we
that's,
love
that's
madness.
that's like pants, though, isn't it? I mean, what are pants over there? That's like your trousers, isn't it?
That is right. Yes. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Well, our pants are our underwear.
See, those are called underpants, but we called them underwear.
Yeah.
Oh goodness, I love it though. It's a funny thing because like you would think that it would be universally shown as the same thing, but instead it's like the game of telephone where somebody started with something and they're like, it's called pants, and he's like, what? Couldn't hear what you said. Under the name, you're gonna put pants, underpants. Okay.
Yeah.
And so that's how it goes. And like long underwear, I don't know what that would be called. What do you guys call long underwear? The clothes you wear in cold times, long
Trousers.
just trousers. You know who calls them trousers over here? The elderly.
Oh. Very nice thing.
Yes, it's great. It is great. I always wanted to see, like, if I were to translate one thing for all of the nations, is it only going to be like yes and no? And that wouldn't even work in Spain or Mexico, but like how would you know? Actually, no. No is universal, I think.
Yeah.
No, it's not. Polish is nie. So never mind.
Oh, okay.
It's like impossible. Like, why isn't there one thing that goes universally? You know what there is? Power Rangers. Power Rangers is universal. And that brings
Is
us
it?
back. Yeah, brings us back to that. Um, so I was talking about the movies before, I think. I showed you the Turbo movie or talked about the Turbo movie. And now I've seen a lot of people saying it's not as bad as it is. And I'm in the category where I disagree. However, I'm open to listening to people try to say that who replaced Jason was called Rocky. He was the next Red Ranger for the rest of the Mighty Morphin. He's the Blue Ranger in Turbo. For literally just the movie, he throws himself out of a karate like wrestling ring or something. Like literally, like it looks like a small kick to the face, and this dude like full on chucks himself over the ring. And I'm just like, this is what you're protecting. This is what we're going to say good things about. Are you serious now?
Dear, oh dear.
Just tells you how corny it was gonna be, and that is, I think, the corniest season. Because yeah, I was talking about them being cooked into a pizza. That was the one that did that.
Yeah,
Ridiculous.
that's mad.
Yeah, but they did have a self-aware joke later on in one season where they did say, "You think that's crazy? I was cooked into a pizza." It's great. Either way, man. Let's get off Power Rangers. I want to see what we can do for the last 10, 15 minutes here. I want to do everything that I can to promote the next single, which is already out at this point in time. Rock and Roll is a harder song, so it's not going to be like heavy as Lorna Shore. We're not expecting deathcore or anything like that. So when you say it's heavy and you're like heavier, does that mean that you're using more distortion in the guitar?
No, it is just a solid sounding track.
Awesome.
You know, there's no fancy bits. There's no pixie dust being put on it. You know, it is literally, you got your drums, your bass, which is solid in the middle. You got your two guitars left and right, and then you got a killer solo, killer vocals. And then as soon as it hit the chorus, that opens right up to, you know, I would like to call it REO Speedwagon type of feel in terms of vocally.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it says what it says on the tin. You know, it is a rock and roll track. You know, so yeah, basically, I would say it is heavier than what I've done before, just because of the sound. Not in the context of it's deathcore, but it's just a solid sound. You know, it is all the way through constant rock.
I love it.
You know,
I'm gonna
no
ask,
frilly bits.
can you change the way that you say it to fuller? It's fuller.
It's fuller.
Yeah, that could work. Maybe. I don't know though, because heavy sounds fun, but then you're gonna have those people that are like, "Oh man, I'm so excited to see like this is the Megadeth version of Browno."
Yeah.
That would be funny.
No,
But I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, that isn't gone that extreme, unfortunately. But there's nothing to say that I couldn't do that in the future, you know, because, you know, Browno, you know, don't have any boundaries, you know, so I like to explore all avenues, and maybe one day that might be that. You don't know. Never say never, that's what I was saying.
Very, very true. Yes, I love that mentality as well. To always have something that you can try. You would never want to avoid something that could actually end up being something you're passionate about. And speaking of passion, I like to promote people with passion. Besides music, what are you most passionate about?
God, blimey. God, you put me on the spot there, haven't you? Good grief. I don't really. I mean, I suppose. Other passions do I have? I mean, I like sport. You know, I know that's really boring, but I think sport really would be my only other passion.
Is
you know,
that,
I'd love
Football?
Yeah, football. You know, I
Okay.
love Liverpool. You know, and I always follow Liverpool, and you know, I like the boring sports like snooker and stuff like that, and darts and things like that. I love most sport, to be honest, and I love playing sport as much as I can. And yeah, and then obviously the only other passion I have, I love my family, and I love spending time with my family and my friends. You know, as much as I can. Um, you know, my two boys are a handful, and yeah. So, and I love them to bits, and yeah, that is pretty much my world, really. You know, my family, my friends, my music, and you know, sport on the side, and you know, good food,
Good
good food as
food.
well.
Good
Got to have good
food.
food.
That's connecting to me now. Okay, first of all, I love my friends and family. Sports, I used to really be involved in, like, just a mad fan of hockey. I like
Yeah,
loved watching the team that played in Chicago. Now, they've had so many lineup changes so that now I don't even know who they are. And I'm just like, I'm not really going to root for them until I see some chemistry like I used to. And
yeah,
back in 2010, like they were on top of the world when it came to hockey. Like they were just the greatest overall team in the league. Like nobody could stop them. Even the last year, or the second to last year that they won, it was like unbelievable. They had no way of coming back. They come back 3 games and then they win on the fourth game, so that they can continue. And then that year they won the Stanley Cup. And I was just like, these guys are unbelievable. Like they're never going to be stopped. And then of course, after a while they fall apart. They change lines, people get taken away, contracts change. That's kind of how it is. But so hockey ended sometime 4 or 5 years ago. I was working at a hotel, and my dad was always asking. He's like, "Can you check the score? Have you seen the game?" I'm like, "I think I'm losing interest. I think something is going away." And so just a couple of years ago, maybe it was just last year, my fiance's brother, my brother to be, is like super involved in wrestling, and so he recommended that I like check out AEW, and so we went to the theater together to see it when it was playing pay-per-views, and that was my first time ever seeing like a full show of it. And we were talking about
okay,
this on the first interview, but fighting with my family is like my only experience with understanding how wrestling works besides the video games. And
yeah,
so I was like, now that I have that background context of these people are people and, they're playing a character, I was like, okay, well, let's see how all this like goes with acrobatics and stuff. And I watched this group called The Elite, and it was Kenny Omega and the twins, Matt and I can't remember the other dude's name right now, but they're both like extremely what can I say, acrobatic. Like the things that they
right,
do, like they're flipping over stuff and just like jumping all over. I love that. That's my kind of wrestling. And so I
yeah,
got involved in it for a little bit, and we stuck with it for a while, but now it's no longer, you can go to the theater to see it, so it's like harder to see it together. But that's like my one and only sport that I've been watching recently. So I get that. However,
yeah.
then we were talking about food. Now this is the greatest thing in the world, and this is the best way to finish the chat. What is one of your favorite foods? And I hope to God that it's also in America.
Oh, okay. Do you know what? I mean, you can't beat a proper fried English breakfast, but it's got to be a British one, I'm afraid,
Okay.
and a proper roast dinner as well. You know, I love a roast dinner. You know, that is like pretty much up there. But if you want something a bit more, I like. Hey, do you have pasta bakes and stuff like that over there?
No.
No, okay, they're nice as well. I'm just trying to think of something. I'll tell you what I am a fan of. I'm just going to go off subject quickly, but it is about food. Burger King for me.
Burger King.
Yeah, I think if you're talking about fast food, as for me, Burger King is way better
That's the
than
king.
McDonald's. Yeah, but McDonald's over here have the better chips.
Oh. The chips. You mean fries?
The fries. Yeah. So if you could combine them both, like have Burger King's burgers
Yes,
and
I
have
agree with
McDonald's
you.
fries,
I agree.
that would be like the perfect like formula.
That's like DC and Marvel working together. Like that's never gonna
Yeah,
happen.
that's never gonna happen. No. But the great thing about fast food is, like, normally they're right close to each other, so you could go to one and then go to the other one.
Yes,
And
that
get
is a
into-
great thing. The competition between the two franchises. So Burger King, what's your number one order that you usually get?
Oh, the bacon XL burger.
Bacon XL. Let me think if I've had that. Okay, so would that be the Bacon King?
Possibly, yeah.
Okay, because the Bacon King is my fave.
So it's got the bacon on the top with the cheese, 2 burgers, and that's it.
And cheese in the middle of the burgers.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, that's the Bacon King. Does it have the ketchup and mayo?
I don't think it has mayo in, but
So just ketchup.
I believe I think it just have ketchup. Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
you love the same burger as me, my friend.
Such
So
a
whenever
good
you
burger.
come to the States, I'm going to take you for a Bacon King, and then you can tell me, and you're going to be like, no, Dan, they made it wrong. This is an absolute atrocity. I will never eat here again. Just kidding. But that is amazing. That Burger King, out of all things, is the one that comes to mind. For fast food, I would say, currently I'm obsessed with Chipotle. I don't know what it is. It's kind of healthier. Maybe that's a good thing because I'm an adult, right? Like it's kind of like fresher food and not like processed crap they just threw and then like reheated in a microwave. So I guess maybe that's the effect of it. But like I like a little bit of spice now. I do enjoy saving money, and I know that's like a crazy thing that nobody wants to do anymore because they're just like, oh, I'm gonna go to Starbucks because I have nothing else to drink. I'm like, drink water.
Yeah.
What are you doing? What do you mean Starbucks? That's like $6. That's crazy. 6 USD. That's crazy. I don't know how many euros, but I'm like, this is just insane. Like, do not put your whole entire wallet for everything. Like, just, deal with water, deal with this little thing. I go to the dollar store, which probably won't be around much longer. And I love that because I'm just like, I'm just going to get pretzels. That's all I need. I need pretzels. I need some energy drinks. That's all I'm going to get. And that's all I do. But people that have to support their families, of course, it's a lot more, and they're probably thinking about that. But for all those single or younger people like me, and just the idea that like Starbucks is number one, I'm like, what are you doing? That is terrible. That is not, that's not going to help in the long run. That's just going to make their prices go up. I feel like they're going to be more high demand, and then they're going to be like, oh, okay, well, you want to have this drink, and our drinks are the best, so now they're $10 a piece, and they're like, well, I love that drink. I can't say no. $10, here you go. It's like, no, stop it. Get yourself some self-control. It's insane. But okay, so for drink wise, is there a place that you are absolutely obsessed with? Maybe that has like a slushy, or maybe that has like something like that.
To be honest, we don't really have stuff like that over here. To be honest,
When you go to the theater and there's no ices.
Yeah, it says that we call them slush puppies.
Slush puppies.
Yeah, they're called slush puppies.
Oh my god, I love it. I love it. That's it. That is the intro to the entire episode. Dan, remember this? It was 5 minutes before we finished. Slush puppies. That has to be the funniest thing. Why? Okay, so any connection to dogs?
I don't have a clue.
So they're just like, it's cute.
I suppose the puppies bit.
Maybe they asked a 6-year-old. Maybe that.
Yeah.
What is this cold drink? A slush puppy.
Yeah. God. Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
But no, I tend to go to if I go for coffee or anything, I tend to go Costa, to be honest, rather than Starbucks.
What is the place called?
Costa.
Step into the future. Home of great coffee. Home of great coffee. Costa Coffee. Only place you feel like home. Get a cup of Costa Coffee. You ever seen the movie George of the Jungle with Brendan Fraser?
Yes, long time ago.
Do you remember the scene where he's like trying to impress Ursula, the girl that he's involved with, and he sees a coffee commercial and it's just like that soft voice?
The coffee that brings you together.
When you're in love.
Now George understand. George get coffee, then Ursula want George.
I love that movie so much, and that slapstick humor is amazing. Amazing. And Brendan Fraser fully committed to that role. So that's your spot. So Costa Coffee, then maybe you're like, I'm hungry for fast food, it's Burger King, or if you're like, okay, it's gonna be a nice night, it's gonna be a roast. That's how it usually goes.
Yeah.
And that's a pot roast, or do you do slow cooker or do you fast cook?
No, it's just like slow cook.
Slow cook, nice. I was gonna say, be like, no, Dad. Actually, we throw it on the pan. We just watch it for literally 3 minutes, and it's done. And I'm like, what? How do you do that? Ours takes 70 hours, it seems. Yeah, no, it is something. It's a delicacy. My grandparents are very good with the cuisine, so they always give me some great things whenever I visit them and take care of their lawn, much like I did last week and probably have to do Monday. But they usually have something in the slow cooker that's always going for like that whole period of time that I'm there, like 4 to 5 hours, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
But you could cook it faster, right? Like we don't have to slow cook. It's just that it makes the meat more tender or something like that. That's what they say.
Yeah.
Yeah. What if that's a myth? What if all of this is just to make us buy more slow cookers and keep them in our attic until we give them away, right? Conspiracy.
Yeah.
Anyway, this was a fantastic chat, dude. And like I said, we will definitely try it again. Don't worry. But I wanted to make sure that everyone got to have a chance to hear your story, a little bit of like your likes and dislikes and the way that your music goes. And if anyone has any questions, please leave it in the comments area on Spotify. There's a little Q&A. What did you think of the episode? Just leave something there so that we know you watched it. And if you made it all the way to this point and watched it and then decided not to comment, why are you here? What are you doing with your life? You could click a button. It's that easy. And then go and, you know what? Click his buttons too. All of those are in the description right down below. Go and subscribe. Go and follow him on Spotify and any other platform. Go make sure that you're following him on Instagram as well, which is... Sorry, my alarm was going to blast through the phone. You would have no idea how loud that would be. Browno has a Instagram, everyone, that everyone needs to follow right now, and that is Browno Music. BROWNO Music. That's simple and easy as that. If you don't know how to type that, get a translator and then make them do it, and then subscribe, and everything I just said before, you have to do it again. Do all of it again and make your translator do it too. Everyone's going to do it. Everyone needs to support Browno. Browno is one of the most genuinely nice, friendly people I've had on the podcast. I've had 4 chats now with him, and he is nothing but genuine. So please give him support.
Thank you very much for having me on your podcast as well.
Absolutely, sir. You are welcome back anytime. Literally, even if you wanted to join in on an episode that has nothing to do with music, and you're just like, oh man, I want to hear Dan rant about, I don't know, freaking My Little Pony or something. I don't have anything to say on that.
It works, guys. That's a Patreon exclusive.
I should do reactions. Just start watching My Little Pony, get the bronies excited, be like, oh my gosh, this guy's never seen My Little Pony. Let's see what happens. I'll be like, oh, look at that. That full-grown 30-year-old didn't like the show. I wonder why. Oh, I love it. Either way, man, thanks for joining me. Thank you guys all for watching. I hope all of you have a great night and stay safe out there. Peace.